handoff. Adrian up the middle, room to the 20, cuts to the left to the 25, and Adrian's loose. He splits the defense. 50, 40, 30. Goodbye, baby. Touchdown!
We bleed purple and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome. Behold, we are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores.
Hey there, Minnesota sports fans. You are listening to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle West. Today he's rocking his Hall of Fame Chris Carter jersey. Adam,
That's right.
Adam Carlson is out there on the other end of the line. What's going on, Adam?
Definitely wearing this in honor of Chris Carter getting his Hall of Fame ring during halftime of the game on Thursday against the Washington Redskins, which I'll get to see in person.
So will I.
Third row seat. I'm excited.
Me and Adam are both going to be at the Washington game. That'll be fun. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see Chris Carter at halftime. I know he tweeted out a picture of his Hall of Fame ring, and it's really nice to see that he finally gets that ring that he's deserved for so very, very long.
Absolutely. But this is episode number 74 of the Purple People podcast. 74 episodes. It's hard to believe.
I can't believe
every
it.
time.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've done this 74 times. But the title is Once Witten, Twice Shy.
I approve.
Good old Jason.
I approve. I will accept that one.
I'm not too big a fan of the song, and I wanted to go with Once Bitten, the vampire movie from back in the 80s that was absolutely corny and fantastic.
Was that the one with Jim Carrey?
That was.
Yeah. He used to work at a video store.
But let's go right to our quick hits for this week.
Let's.
And let's have a little fun here. I've got positive note followed up by a negative note. So let's start with the positives, because I like positive.
Okay.
We saw a lot of Vikings players at the Starkey Hearing Foundation last week. They were giving hearing impaired children hearing aids and working with them on how to control and work through their disabilities, and which is awesome. I saw players like Adrian Peterson tweeting out, or it might have been Greg Jennings. I don't want to give the credit to the wrong person, but either way, it was the look on a child's face when they hear for the first time is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't imagine what that's like.
Really cool stuff.
Can't imagine being a kid never hearing your mom's voice until you're 8 or 9 years old. Unbelievable. On the sad note, though, Matt Asiata's father passed away in an automobile accident in Utah. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends, because that is definitely a tragedy.
Yeah, very, very tough situation.
Well, things have been weird for Bobby Felder, former Minnesota Viking. The Vikings cut him, the Buccaneers picked him up, and the Buccaneers cut him again. So he's out there. The Vikings want to try to get him one more time.
Maybe. I wouldn't bet on it at this point, just based on the team's salary cap situation. I don't think we're gonna be excuse me. I don't think we're gonna be signing anyone for the remainder of the season, but maybe they'll.
I don't know.
Maybe they'll bring him in
I've
for
got a
training
feeling
camp.
Like he's gonna put a small claim in on Nnamdi Asomugha. I've got that feeling.
I don't know.
They got the cash for him. We'll see. A Week 8 NFC Special Teams Player of the Week award went to Cordero Patterson. One of your favorites.
I'm a big fan of Cordero Patterson, and I wish the team could figure out how to utilize his talents other than special teams, but eventually when we get rid of Musgrave, he'll see some actual playing time on the field, and it will be spectacular.
I kind of wish I had a tape recorder so I could just rewind and hit play on this over and over again. But the Vikings released Justin Tratow and signed Chase Ford.
Yeah, we've been reporting on that for a couple of weeks now.
But now I've been getting frustrated with it. But Chase Ford did something in that game that was pretty awesome.
What was that?
When he picked up Adrian Peterson and helped push him into the end zone.
Was that? I thought that was John Carlson.
No, it was not. That was Chase board.
Wow, I was watching that. When I was watching that, I thought that was Carlson. I didn't realize that was someone else on the roster.
Yep.
That was a really heads-up play on his part. I know
Definitely.
that was cool. That was one of my favorite runs I've ever seen from Adrian Peterson.
And trust me, I'd love to give the credit to John Carlson, but I can't. It wasn't
I
him.
really thought that was John Carlson. I was gonna say that would have been the highlight of Carlson's career, but I guess I can't even give him that.
Chris Cook and Jamarcus Sanford were both inactive for the game against the Cowboys. Cook was dealing with a hip injury, while Jamarcus Sanford was struggling with a groin problem.
Nobody cares.
I do, man. That's secondary.
Yeah.
Not the best to start with, and when you got guys dropping and you got to play AJ Jefferson more than you want, I don't know.
I hate to derive too far off topic here, but Chris Cook, future with the team, I mean, are we all...
He's feeling it. Have you read some of his statements about how he needs to impress in order to try to make his future a little brighter?
Yeah.
Because all the struggles earlier on.
Well,
And it's true, he knows.
as long as he knows it, that's a step in the right direction.
Vikings suffered another big loss with a broken ankle. Kyle Rudolph. Which means John Carlson will get the start against the Washington Redskins.
Oh.
And if you're at that Washington Redskins game and you see a John Carlson jersey on someone that isn't John Carlson,
It's Adam Carlson.
it's most likely your second favorite Purple People podcast host, Adam Carlson.
You will be the only person in the Metrodome other than him to have a Carlson jersey on.
And my final quick hit of the week, Bill Lodeholt suffered a concussion during that game and did not return. We saw the impact of that right away when Jamarcus Webb went in the game, got blown by, and Christian Ponder got strip sacked. Or a touchdown.
That's the reason why Chicago released him.
Well, he wasn't very good, but he's a decent swing tackle. I don't understand the play calling in that situation anyway, but that's a completely different topic.
No one ever understands Minnesota's play calling in any situation, so I guess why should that specific play be any different?
We need a little breathing room. Let's have not very many blockers for Christian Ponder and have him sit back in the pocket for a little bit. No. But let's go into our game ball and our donkey, because this is where I like to have a lot of fun.
Me too. I'm going to let you...
I especially love giving away the game ball. That's fun.
I'm going to let you go ahead and let you label your game ball and your donkey. And then I was actually at work during this football game. So I only seen the fourth quarter. Because of that, I am not really going to label either or, but you had the heads up of making a post on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Purple People Podcast. You should like us on there if you haven't. We got some good responses from some fans. So I'm going to go ahead and read some fan feedback.
All right, I'll lead off, and I bet you that a lot of the fans out there agree with me that the game ball deserves to go to Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
25 carries, 140 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 3 catches, 37 yards. Good things happen when you put the ball in Adrian's hands.
Turns out he's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
Who knew?
All right.
Did Bill Musgrave know that before?
Well, he sure is one offensive coordinator.
No, really. It was nice to see Adrian have a bounce-back game. A couple of those runs that I seen, the one where he ran into the end zone and looked like he was stopped 4 yards out. And then, like I said, who was that came up behind him and holds him up, and he still ends up fighting his way in with people draped all over him. And man, that was an amazing run.
Pretty sweet.
He must be feeling, his hamstring must be feeling better, and he must be feeling more confident. A good game from him.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. You know who didn't have a good game?
Oh, pick your poison.
I went for the second week in a row, Alan Williams.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I really don't agree with that strategy of stopping the pass rush on the last drive, especially when your secondary is makeshift at best with all the injuries that are out. I don't understand the call. I don't understand the strategy. And a lot of the players took to really not agreeing with this philosophy, even in the interviews after
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah,
Let me read a couple of statements
Brian
here.
Robinson was pretty vocal and has continued to be vocal. He hasn't backed off from it either. He's
No,
continued.
Brian Robinson said, we were putting heat on him, talking about Tony Romo,
Mhm.
the whole day. We had sacks today. That's a pretty dang good day. Then all of a sudden, we get a drive, and we're only going to rush 3 guys, and we don't get to him. You've got 5 guys to block 3. It says a lot of things. It says, obviously, when we rush 4, we're pretty dang good. We can be pretty dang good, especially when we rush 4 against 5. I like the odds of that in our favor every week. I feel like we're in a rhythm, and our guys are dropping out. It kind of takes it out of that. And I agree with him completely.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, he hasn't backtracked one bit from that statement. Sometimes, you'll get players that'll say something and they'll realize a couple, after the fact that, well, I got to be politically correct and say the right thing. And so they'll try to backtrack away from it. And I got to give Brian a lot of credit for sticking to it and saying, no, I agree with that statement. And no, I don't think it was out of line either.
I have a friend that's a Cowboys fan, and he took offense to that weird Brian Robinson fishing celebration after the sack. So I don't understand it. It's just a celebration. No big deal. But back to my ranting here a little bit. Kevin Williams said from that standpoint, it's kind of terrible when you're trying to stop him being, of course, Tony Romo. I know they were in empty, and they were going to throw it quick and all.
Mhm.
But if we can make him hold it 1 second, we can hopefully get that. And these aren't players that are known for being vocal or players that are new to the system, new to the scheme, that aren't buying in. These are veterans.
Yeah.
These are guys that have been here, are on their 2nd, 3rd, 4th contracts with the team. Even Leslie Frazier said, I tried to do whatever I could to help us play better than we have been playing. And then a media person asked him if he was taking over control of the play calling duties on defense from Alan Williams, and he said no, not taking over, making suggestions about it here and there. So I think that we are seeing not only Alan Williams losing control of the players, but even the head coach is losing faith in him. And I really believe that even though Alan Williams is fairly new to this team, that I don't think he'll be back after this year.
I don't think I've found a single person who thinks that he'll be back next season for this team, just based on how bad our defense is playing. And I remember I found the breakdown on Twitter of that last play as to exactly what they were doing defensively. And I know it was twice, I don't know, I'm trying to remember, I think it was twice that they dropped Everson Griffin back into coverage. And the one that really got me is there was one play that they dropped Kevin Williams back into coverage instead of having him rush. Now, I can understand Everson to an extent. He's pretty versatile player.
He's got some speed. He can keep up with people.
At this stage in his career, why are you dropping Kevin Williams back into coverage? What is that accomplishing?
Especially when Kevin Williams was getting pressure up the middle.
Of course he
a lot
is.
of the
That's
game.
his job. That's his game. He's a wily veteran. That's what he does. Why would you drop him back into coverage when you need him? That's when you need him the most to get pressure to the quarterback.
I don't get it, and I never will understand. But go to some of the responses. Now, let's hear about the game ball and the donkey from some of the folks there on Facebook.
Well, we were all over the place a little bit with responses. Some of the donkeys, John labeled Blair Walsh for missing the extra point.
I can't really go with that.
Understandable. You shouldn't ever miss an extra point just based on how close you are to it. But we know the injuries he's had. We can always blame Jeff Locke. That's what I like to do. But no, I wouldn't blame him in that situation either. Bill Musgrave is the favorite. Dustin said that Donkey goes to Musgrave yet again. For once, I'd like to see this guy stop being so conservative. He's got to get a killer instinct and go for the dagger. Every possession, it's pass on first, run on second. Very predictable, and that did not change today. Predictability is killing this offense, and I realize that everyone knows that our offense has to run through Adrian Peterson. Like, everyone knows that, but you can be a little bit more creative, a lot more creative than what this team is doing with it.
And I have no problem with running the team through Adrian
It
Peterson.
should.
If you're going to be predictable, that's the way it should be predictable. It should be predictable, turning around, handing the ball to Adrian Peterson as much as you can to open up that passing game. And this is one of the few weeks that we actually found balance in that pass and run.
Chris Rack, I hope you pronounced your last name right. You had one of my favorite ones. Bill Musgrave, best player on the Cowboys. I thought that was pretty funny. Marcus typed in whoever Lodeholt's backup was for the donkey. We just talked about that one, so
we did.
For the game ball, pretty much everyone Adrian Peterson. They were right on that. Let me find my my Ponder supporter here. I always like to hear from them. Thomas wrote in game ball to Ponder for stepping up, and I think he cemented the start for the season and put that to bed.
He may have, because he was already named the starter for the game on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. And
normally the Vikings would want to wait, but I guess they saw no point in it this time.
Like I said, I missed most of the game except the fourth quarter. From what I've seen of Ponder play, I think it's pretty safe to say that this was one of the better games he had for the team this season.
Yeah, let's move right into the game review and talk right about Ponder.
Okay.
Because it all comes down to the one play. And everyone knows the one play I'm talking about.
I'm going to pull up my Twitter while you're talking.
We saw the Vikings setting up for a Hail Mary. Ponder dropped back, had all the time in the world. I mean, I don't know where the offensive line found this stability that they've been lacking all year, but for some reason they were able to hold everybody off while Ponder stood in there. Mm-hmm. And you thought, okay, he's going to rifle it to the end zone. The Vikings have all these tall wide receivers that they brought into the team. You know, they'd have a chance at a jump ball back there. Ponder pulls his arm back, just heaves it, and it puddles around at the 10-yard line.
Yeah. This pass, attempted Hail Mary, which there have been some debate on Facebook as to whether or not that was actually a Hail Mary pass. Folks,
with the time expiring, it has to be.
Yeah. If that's anything other than a Hail Mary, what in the holy hell is going on with this team? Rhetorical question. I don't actually expect you to answer that, Adam. But I took to Twitter as soon as that was over and asked my followers, you know, we had seen the Fail Mary pass happen to the Green Bay Packers against the Seattle Seahawks. And
I still don't call that a Fail Mary, but I guess whatever makes people sleep at
night.
Well,
you know, that one was the Fail Mary. That's what that one's called. And this is, I don't think I've ever seen a Hail Mary not make it to the end zone. The way
I've seen it go out of the end zone, accidentally throwing it too far.
Yeah, but fall short like that, I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before. Stupidest thing I've ever seen. I decided that we need to have a name for that one. And one of my first people, I popped up to it, came up with the name Hail Barely. And
Not
I'll be
bad.
damned if I didn't think "Hail Barely" is just the funniest thing I've ever heard.
You say that, and I think Halle Berry.
I when I first read it, I thought it said Halle Berry too, but come on, that play "Hail Barely" is like
But it didn't even barely get there. I mean, I don't know.
there was a lot of
As a fan, it was such a crushing end to a game that I actually felt was winnable. I mean, I just kind of hung my head a little bit and said that figures.
oh, here was another one that we had a lot of people on Twitter coming up with names for this. A lot of good discussions. Everyone, and I was seeing from all the retweets and other people talking to themselves, kind of what was picking up traction too, and like the number 2 name for that play, Hail Matt, and then just kind of stopping, just hey,
Yeah,
just,
not
just
quite.
Hail Matt. So those are the 2 that we got for that one. So I got to thank everyone on Twitter for keeping me entertained after the stupidity that was that final play.
But to be fair, Ponder did play pretty well for most of the game. He was making better decisions. He was staying in the pocket. He wasn't tucking and running as much as he had in the past. He did have the one boneheaded interception, and he did have the strip sack fumble for a touchdown. But again, that strip sack fumble, I'm not putting on him.
There's not even much more to really say at this point, because I feel like everyone already knows Christian Ponder is what he is. What we've seen.
Well, let's be honest. He's a lame duck right now. The Vikings aren't going to move forward with Christian Ponder. Matt Castle isn't going to be the franchise guy.
Well,
I have no clue what they're doing with Josh Freeman.
Here's where I might kind of disagree with you, Adam. Maybe the team only brought in Josh Freeman to kind of light a fire underneath Christian Ponder with the idea of he's gone after this season.
That would be really not fair to Josh Freeman.
Well, NFL's not a fair place. Maybe their plan is to draft a quarterback and then have him and Ponder battle it out in training camp and preseason, and then name the starter for 2014 from there. Or maybe it's Ponder, Freeman, first-round draft pick, 3-way competition. I don't think fans want to hear that. I think fans either want to hear it's Josh.
We drafted someone, that's our man,
It's
or
either
we're going to roll Freeman. We want to hear something.
Yes, people don't want to hear maybe Ponder's coming back, but I'm starting to think that's a possibility because
I don't mind Ponder in a backup role, to be honest.
Well, why else would they be playing him right now if he's not somehow still in the cards for 2014? If they had completely shut the book on him and said, "No, we don't believe in you anymore," we'd
see Matt Castle.
He would be
right
third
now.
string, holding clipboard, not even active on game days. The fact that he is still starting has to mean something. There's got to be logic behind this.
I don't know right now, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the wide receivers for a little bit.
Okay. Chris Carter.
Greg Jennings led all wide receivers in targets. Had 9 targets on the night. Well, day, evening, I don't know. I'm used to night games now. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. We won't have a lot of those
But
next year.
Oh, yeah.
No
yeah.
prime time, no big game.
Jennings had 6 catches on 9 targets, 56 yards on the night. Day, football, game. I don't know. But Adrian Peterson caught 3 of his 3 targets, 37 yards. We saw a lot of passes that were very, very catchable, especially 6 targets that went towards John Carlson for 23 yards.
John Carlson
on 4 catches.
He equals production, and we will be seeing a lot more of Carlson with Kyle Rudolph.
We sure will. And I think that we will see an up in his production and people are going to be able to see a little bit more of what John Carlson can offer in this expanded role.
Well, at some point, someone on this team has to take the proverbial ball and run with it and do something when they're given an opportunity. So I'm not hopeful.
And so far, that's been Jerome Simpson.
Yeah.
But he's kind of dropped off the map here a little bit recently. And we've seen Jennings step up, which is the true mark of an established leader and veteran in the NFL. So I think I was critical of the Vikings picking up Greg Jennings, but he is a guy that I think will be able to help this team long term, especially with all the young wide receivers that they have.
As soon as we get some stability at the quarterback position, as
soon as we trade up and get Teddy.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
I've been hearing that a lot. Man, a lot of people out there want Johnny football.
I'm not I don't know enough about any of them to be. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Back to Greg Jennings. I think as soon as we get stability at that quarterback position and a new offensive coordinator, you'll see a lot more production from him in 2014.
Absolutely. Yep. Let's shift over to the defensive side of the ball and
We got an interception. Let's talk about that first.
A.J. Jefferson steps in front of a player, gets an interception.
At some point, someone on this team was bound to accidentally get one. And he did. He finally got one.
Well, Minnesota's defensive scheme isn't exactly set up to get interceptions. It's put together to contain people, put the play in front of you, and make tackles. But every once in a while,
we get reason why we need an entirely new defensive scheme in Minnesota.
But it's nice to see a turnover now and again, especially when it's a guy that you do not expect it from. And a lot of people are really harsh on A.J. Jefferson. A lot of people are still calling for his head, saying that he needs to be cut. Same with Josh Robinson and Chris Cook. And I guess you could put the names of the players in the secondary in a hat and pull some out, and everybody be like, oh, cut that guy.
Yeah.
But overall, the secondary was doing its best with what it had. I mean, it's been decimated by injuries.
It's patchwork.
At best.
It was patchwork at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it sure was. Jason Witten, of whom the show is named after this week, had 8 catches, 102 yards. One of those catches was a touchdown. He ate up this defense so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read my interview with the Landry Hat, which is the fan-sided Dallas Cowboys page, you'd have seen that I called that Jason Witten would be the leading receiver for the Cowboys, and that he would be the guy that would almost single-handedly make the Vikings squirm. And he did, and I'm proud of it, and I'm calling it right now saying, woo me.
Well, thank you for jinxing the team, Adam Carlson.
Hey, I'm happy that I just know my stuff.
I am going to label Adam Carlson the donkey of the week. I'm kidding.
But hey, for my final score prediction, I was off too. I thought that would be much more of a blowout than it was. So
I think everyone was pleasantly surprised that the game was as close.
Absolutely.
What it was.
Especially when our top tacklers were people in the secondary. We saw
Marcus Sherrills. 7 tackles.
Marcus Sherrills, 7 tackles, but he also gave up a lot of catches. Mm-hmm. Marcus Sherrills was the one taxed with covering Witten for a lot of the night.
Which is
he was also,
be honest, that's a mismatch.
Well, they didn't really have anyone else they
yeah.
could really cover. He was also covering Dwayne Harris on the 2-yard touchdown pass.
Maybe Alan Williams will find a defensive scheme that lets him drop Kevin Williams back into coverage and cover Jason Witten.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Jared Allen made the stat sheet this week. He had a tackle, 1 solo tackle. He did it.
There we go.
Last week he was stonewalled, had no stats.
Production.
Yeah. Brian Robinson only had 2 solo tackles, but the 2 sacks
kind of help out. It looks like Everson had a sack as well.
Everson added 1.
Yeah.
Xavier Rhodes, 6 tackles, and I thought he played pretty well. We saw Des Bryant not get shut down, but contained.
Yeah.
And Des Bryant is one of those guys that is a beast.
I really feel like they've been misusing Xavier so far. Xavier so far this season. Just throw him out there. Like, throw him out there, give him someone to cover, and just let him do that. Like,
yeah, were you listening to Frazier when he said, okay, we're going to start Josh Robinson at cornerback, and then we'll see who we can start on the other side? Like, what?
Like, really? You don't...
Really?
Like, we've got so much depth on this team that that's an actual decision that needed to be made. Like, come on.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, really, guys?
Yeah.
Really? Come on. We only had 2 passes defended. One was the interception by A.J. Jefferson, and the other was Mr. Raymond. I don't know. This defense, it just frustrates me to no end. Because the team is putting up enough points where it should be winning some games, but the defense is just giving it away. And I know that the Vikings have focused on offense through a lot of the draft and free agency, and that was a spot where a lot of people thought we'd get by on the pass rush alone from Jared Allen, Brian Robinson, and the strong defensive line, but that hasn't been the case. So
I still
I'm
think...
assuming we'll see something completely different coming up in the draft and free agency this year. We'll see a lot more focus on defense after the Vikings take care of their quarterback issue.
A lot of people talking about the draft are saying that if the if the Vikings don't go quarterback, they could be getting that defensive end. What's his name? Clowney?
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney, or they also like Carr, which I like. I like Carr's motor better because I think he gives more effort on every play. But Clowney is the kind of guy that demands double teams because he has the potential to just be a superstar.
Yeah, I like that. I think
he's boom or bust in my opinion. But either way, without signing Everson Griffin or Jared Allen to a long-term deal, right now they only have Brian Robinson locked up. It's going to be tough going forward. I mean, the Vikings may have to spend a top draft pick on a defensive end.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident they'll get Everson locked up. But then it kind of becomes one of those things where, well, if you're sitting at number 2 or number 3 in the draft and you don't feel 100% sold on any quarterback, maybe you do go for defensive end or whatever and continue to use Everson in more of a rotational role like what you've been doing.
I don't know. I'd be fine taking Mariota at 3.
Yeah, I would prefer to go quarterback, but you know.
I like what I see from that guy.
We'll save this for...
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking plenty about draft and free agency and all that coming up. We're going to be getting some more guests on soon, so if you want to be a guest on the show, make sure you send us a Facebook message or tweet us and let us know why you want to be on and what you got to offer. We're talking money here. We're like $500
a piece.
No, we're just kidding there.
Make a Breaking Bad reference. You send some crystal. I'm kidding.
I've never seen Breaking Bad.
You've never seen Breaking Bad, Adam?
Not interested.
We're going to turn into the Breaking Bad podcast here for a minute. I just started watching it, and I just finished season 1 the other day, and it's already like the best TV show that I've ever seen. Cannot wait to go to the store and buy season 2.
Well, I can't wait for the Vikings game on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, too.
They're playing the Washington Redskins at home. It's going to be a fantastic game. Thursday Night Football, NFL Network.
Can't wait for halftime.
Let's talk for a quick minute about the Redskins name conspiracy thing.
Okay.
Now, I want a little bit of full disclosure here. I live on an Indian reservation. My father is a member of a Native American tribe. And we have no problem with the name Redskins.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that you don't want to raise a culture or people with a belief that people should be judged or categorized based on the color of their skin. I get that. I get that completely. But I don't see it as being a derogatory term.
I don't either, and I think the only people that do are uppity white folk who think that everything needs to be extremely politically correct these days, and I think it's reading too much into a sports franchise. I think it's an honor, that it's not the Washington.
Yeah, it's not meant to be.
It's not the Washington, the Washington USA's or the Washington Screaming Eagles or whatever. No, it's the Washington Redskins. It's a way to, they're honoring the people whose country we basically took from them. If I'm being frank here, they were here before us, so.
And let's be honest, the team named them that because the Native Americans were fierce warriors.
Yeah.
They fought hard. And that is why the Washington Redskins are named that. It's not an insult. It's not something that they're out to make something out of it that it's not.
Yeah.
But I understand why the conspiracy is out there. I think
it's stupid. But do you think they're going to change the name?
I think they should change the name.
I don't think they should.
I think they should change the name to the DC Redskins because Washington's misleading. You think of Washington State.
Yeah.
Or at least I used to.
DC Redskins.
But we get to see RG3 next week, which I guess is Thursday. I guess it's not really next week now.
In a couple days.
Yeah, short week. So be ready for that game. Should be a lot of running, a lot of nice physical football. I'm excited to see this. Like I said, I'll be there in person. Kyle West will be there in person. If you want to meet up, send us some messages. I know I'll be out there early tailgating. I don't know about Mr. West.
Oh, I am. We are pushing it short on my end. We're driving. I live in Iowa, and we're driving right to the last minute to get to this game, but I will be there.
Through the eye of the winter storm morning.
Yeah.
So if you're going to the game, be careful. Drive safe. Try to avoid the snow because it's going to be the first big snow from what I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have for this week. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to talk about.
Breaking Bad. We talk about more Breaking Bad or Walking Dead, but
I could talk to you about Walking Dead because I know about that, but
awesome episode this week.
I don't know. But I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on a whole bunch of other places. So check us out.
Stuff
Tell your
that
friends.
we don't even remember that we're on. We're on it.
I know, right? The sports blog or something like that. I don't know.
But we love every place that we are on.
Absolutely. Yep. I'd like to thank everyone for listening and remind them to stay classy, Minnesota.